Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker, honorable members of Youth Impact Parliament, I want to use this opportunity to welcome you back to our virtual leadership seminar series. Today is our third version or third edition. So we would like to start the program with an opening prayer. Let's pray. Receive thee to look with favor upon this Youth Impact Parliament. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance, clarity, insight, and eloquence to our guest speaker and host, that they may deliver and make this virtual leadership seminar a memorable and resourceful one to our personal development and capacity building. We commit into your hands all participants that they may understand and adopt all that will be taught today. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our members that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of this Youth Impact Parliament, Volta region, and Ghana. Amen. Our guest speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I can see online our guest speaker himself, Cecil Akapo, Cletus, YIM, Elijah Kanladi, Benedita Jeke, and Leo Jima. For the start, I want to welcome you all for joining the live section, and all our viewers who will be watching the production after the session has ended. I want us to move on to the welcome address. Mr. Guest Speaker, honorable members, and fellow participants, it is an honor for me to host this memorable event once again as your speaker of this Youth Impact Parliament. This youth organization is focused on impacting its members positively and significantly. This occasion is assiduously promoting the vision of this Parliament. The theme for today's leadership seminar, and third of its kind in the history of this house, is positioning the youth for greater future responsibilities through leadership training. And this topic will be handled by no other person than our guest speaker, Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony, the First Secretary, an esteemed young leader with notable records in youth leadership. He has quite a number of followership within the student space, and he is destined to become a great leader in Ghana's political space. I hereby wish, and on behalf of the leadership of the House, humbly welcome all participants, and most especially our guest speaker, to our third virtual leadership seminar. Thank you all, and welcome once again. I will now move on to introduce our guest speaker. Honorable members, Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony is a young leader with adequate and impressive experience in leadership and politics. Mr. Julius Anthony had his secondary school education at Keta Senior High School from 2013 to 2016. Then after, he proceeded in admission to study finance in the University of Ghana in 2015. In his quest to impact lives within the tertiary space, he served in various leadership positions. From 2016 to 2017, he served as the clerk to the following student legislative chambers: the Elizabeth Say Hall Senate and the Business House Common Room of the University of Ghana. From 2017 to 2018, he was a member of the University of Ghana SRC Public Relations Committee. From 2018 to 2019, he was the Deputy Public Relations Officer to the University of Ghana Students' Representative Council. He also became the Speaker of the Business House JCR, also the chairman of the Executive Council of the Business House JCR of University of Ghana. In 2019, Mr. Julius Anthony proceeded to file as presidential candidate for the office of the President of the Students' Representative Council of the University of Ghana. However, he lost to his opponent. In 2020, he proceeded to contest for the office of the General Secretary of the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS. He won and he became the 54th General Secretary of the National Union of Ghana Students under the leadership of Emmanuel Yadom's administration. In his current position, he is virtually the second most powerful student leader in Ghana. Since then, Mr. Julius Anthony has facilitated a number of radio programs, TV interviews, and other leadership training programs. Our guest speaker is an icon within the student fraternity, noted and duly recognized within the national space as well. He succeeded in a number of advocacy as General Secretary. Notable among them is the admittance of the 499 law students and many more that he will also outline during his presentation. Honorable members, I humbly introduce to you all Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony, your guest speaker. Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony, your audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I now respectfully invite our guest speaker to take the floor and make his presentation on our theme, which is positioning the youth for greater future responsibilities.
Thank you very much, Jones. And I didn't expect a very long and flowery introduction as you did. That's why when you asked for the profile, I just sent you 3 lines. I'm General Secretary of NUGS, and I like to be remembered as former Speaker of the Business House Junior Common Room because of the love I have for that institution. I don't know why you decided to go and add all those other things you added, but I'm very grateful for that warm introduction. And I would like to zoom straight into today's topic, but I'm very surprised to have seen a name here. Did I see Leo Jima? Is that Leo Ando Jima? I mean, former speaker for former Chief Justice for the University of Ghana SRC. Leo, is that you?
Yes, please, I'm the one.
Oh, if you are here, what am I going to say?
Oh.
Well, that's fine. It's good to have great men like you on here. It speaks a lot. Speaking on today's topic, which is positioning the youth for future leadership prospects, I think I would shift a bit to speak more of how, leaders can be formed in the first place for them to deal with the kind of prospects that are available to them. And I'll be speaking largely from the perspective of how I became how I am today, and I've transitioned to various stages, some very bad that I'm not very proud of, and to try to reform my person to be more fitting of the prospects that might lie ahead. So I'll tell you a story of back in the days when I was in, GHS before I went to SHS. When I went to Amazing Lab School first, and then usually there's this sort of bullying of a sort, but a lot of people took it as normal. Everyone says that it's normal for seniors to bully you, it's normal for seniors to give you 2 cedis and expect you to buy things, which cost 4 cedis or 5 cedis for them, which means they are indirectly asking you to use your monies for them. And everyone saw it as normal, Initially, myself, I wanted to see it as normal because there was this whole idea of the senior could tell the juniors whatever to do and they would do it. And my brother, who went ahead of me, narrates stories of how these things happen. Then I used to think, okay, when I also get to Form 3, I get to command people, tell them what to do, and they will just obey. But my experience before I got there made me realize that no, this is not normal. I hate being bullied. And then I became sort of the one student among my colleagues who actually broke the myth of superiority that was around our seniors. Everyone thought they were untouchable. All our colleagues thought seniors are untouchable. You can't do anything to them. You can't challenge them. You can't question them whatsoever. So I didn't want to settle for that. I will not let you bully me or do any of those things to me. You can't ask me to go and scrub the bathroom in the night. I would ask you what time the house master has designated for such duties and all. You can't ask me to leave prep when I'm not supposed to. And a lot of people saw it as arrogance or he's proud, he's this or that. But well, I wasn't, because there was a time where I enjoyed the idea of having to do that, but going through it, I didn't enjoy it. So I decided I wasn't going to allow that sort of system to continue. And the flaws in what I was doing then was that my approach to those things was very radical. Like, I'm not going to do it. If you try to force me, I might want to use my hands, I might want to struggle with you, or that sort of thing. Eventually, I realized there was a way of actually growing out of that, because the more I was aggressive and agitated about how I went about things, the more the seniors also tried to be aggressive and agitated about how they also dealt with these things. And then they began setting traps for me. So they would deliberately, set returning from prep period to very bizarre hours or times. They will limit the time as to when we were supposed to return from prep. It created a situation where my colleagues had to be running. Immediately we closed from prep, they had to run. I remember from the the block that we learn at, that's the old block, the senior block, and they will have to run to Kotoka House. Jones was in Kitasco, so he could tell the distance, and they set the time to about 5 minutes. I realized that what that approach did was that it was making my other colleagues, which I thought that if I was being a leader of a resistance, sort of, I'll be fighting for them and myself. It was making them suffer. They all have to run because a certain Julius Anthony doesn't want to have cool heads with the seniors, And eventually, the people I claimed I was fighting for were also trying to ostracize me of a sort. They couldn't relate with the idea of me, always being the one who causes all the troubles. But I thought I was doing the right things. So there was that level of radicalism in me, and I think that the circumstances around that time, forced it into me. The point I'm trying to make with this story is that there's a certain conception that there are people who are born natural leaders. I think there's no such thing. Circumstances just, develop people into leaders. And it takes those who are very courageous to embrace, the kind of leadership calling that the circumstances, put on them. So that's the essence of courage in leadership, to stand up to people when you feel the circumstances are wrong, regardless of whether or not people would follow you. Then there's an element we could look at from the story I told earlier, that sometimes you must leave space to be tolerant and accommodate other people's behaviors. There was no way I expected that I could show up in Kotoka House and all of a sudden make everybody just change and think the way I do, that you are not supposed to bully, you are not supposed to make juniors do the kind of works you give them at awkward times and all that. That if I went very radical about it, they'll respond in ways that could make other people even suffer. So it taught me a great deal of tolerance within that period, that I must learn to even tolerate certain bad behaviors of other people, and at best try to talk them out of it. But could I have talked my seniors out of what they were doing? No. I couldn't have, because they felt I was not in a place to even challenge their opinions in the first place. But could I prevent my own colleagues from doing that when we became seniors? Because the whole fuss about getting to Form 3, in Kotoka House and even in other houses back then was about being able to tell juniors what to do and all. So when we got to Form 3, I decided there was a better way of showing the way. I had a lot of school children in Kita school. Having a school father and school mother and all those things was a big deal, because if your school father is house captain, the likelihood that you'll be house captain is also very high. If the school prefect, the likelihood that will happen is also very high. So it was a big deal in Kita school. And most people make their school children, daughters, school sons and all, do washings for them and all that. But I decided to go the other way around. My school son was Israel, and I'd rather wash his things early to make him early, for any of those other things. So he was barely in trouble with the other seniors who like to bully and all that. What he created in Kotoka House was a situation where if you were a bully, the juniors don't even want to associate with you. So it made me got a lot of, school sons in Kotoka House. They were willing to associate themselves with me more than the other seniors. And it brought me to the realization that people are humans, and no matter how bad they are, they could change if only someone leads the way. So that brings us to the concept of leading by showing examples. So if I was also there out of a lot of troubles, there were situations where we would plan SRC weeks or activities, and then tempers. So eventually some students were actually, I think, deboardinized, some were dismissed and all for going against orders of the school and all. And I would have been one of them if not because of, the calmer people I had around me. So if we are youthful people and we want to lead and make changes, we must understand that we are not everything. you can't do everything on your own. You need other people who have qualities that you do not have. And those things have informed how I've approached leading in NUGS. So first I said, what no one is born a leader as people make it seem. Circumstances must form the person and make the person the kind of leader the person will become. And secondly, I said that what the recipe very fluent. I don't know if that is entirely true, but that's why a lot of people want to involve me in, leadership activities. And I try to be very analytical too. It was something I learned out of a hard experience. When we were back in Kita school again, there was a debate team, so we all debated for our houses, and you could make presentations and all. My house was disgraced and embarrassed, and we lost sadly because I thought I could rely completely on my ability to flow when I take the microphone. The others came with analysis, events, statistics, and all those things to buttress everything they were saying, and they were making solid references. What became of mine was a situation where I was making only general statements, relying on my to speed past the time and all, and what we were saying, we didn't have the right facts to buttress what we were saying, so it looks more of speculations and all those things. So to lead as a young person, I think you need records. You need to trace what other people were doing or what other people have done to be able to map out what you are supposed to do. And Fogan Kunu decided he was going to bring me close to himself, Project Citizen. We'll go to communities one by one and then would identify problems in those communities. And what you're supposed to do is to find out existing laws that actually have gaps in them that causes those communities to be the way they are, and you're supposed to propose recommendations. So anyone who has encountered how I speak anytime I'm given the opportunity would attest to one fact that I try to make several references, several factual analysis of situations. What that does also is that if you are leading an organization, you will never go and speak out of a vacuum. You will be able to convince. So brings us to point 3 of the things I want to speak about today. No leader should work without data, historical analysis, which also means that as a young leader, you must read and know what other people have done, other people's experiences, and all those things, and infuse them into whatever you do, which is very important. Then in several ways that relying on the potencies of other people that you don't have can help is the fact that there are times that you would have completely no idea, and then you need someone to signal you that, hey, this thing is going this way and you must act this way, or but you are not competent enough to change that circumstance. When Jones was introducing me, he made mention of a notable achievement that the National Union of Ghana students chalked during our administration. That's the issue of the law students, for example. I don't have any idea about law. I don't know anything about law. I've not been to law school. I have no understanding of what goes on there. And if I was in a situation where I didn't have a network of other people who have brilliant law backgrounds and all that, I would have found myself wanting, I would have wanted to change a situation, but couldn't have done anything about it because I don't have the competencies to even make arguments on issues of law. That's where people like Chief Justice Leo would come in. That's where people like Agaya would come in. That's where people like Kwekwe Japan would come in. So the essence of finding your own deficiencies in other people is also very important in positioning yourself as a youth leader. And if you are someone who does not like to even acknowledge that you have certain deficiencies, then you will be a failed leader from start. So I acknowledge such deficiencies, and always I try to bring those people on board. Then to be well positioned to lead, you must be someone who does should I say self-evaluation. Self-evaluation is also very important in leading. If you are going about your leadership of activities, whether you have a position or not, you must have some people that always tell you the truth. What happens, especially if youthful people find themselves in leadership, is that everyone who benefits from their kind of leadership, whether moral benefits, that's the mere idea of being associated with this particular youth leader, or probably financial because you help them and all those things. All those people who benefit from you will be unable to tell you the truth. They wouldn't tell you if you are going wrong or anything. So as an individual, you must set for yourself either key performance indicators or character checks all the time. And all the time you must take those character checks. I can be impulsive sometimes as a person. I think of something and immediately I'm up to doing it. So I have friends that, okay, it's their job to just check my worst impulses. And it comes with a certain admittance of the fact that you are bad when it comes to this. And anyone who does not admit that first will not even put measures in place to check it. And also another problem with acting on impulse is that other people may not behave in ways that you expect them to behave. So if you are impulsive, you do things that within the next 5 seconds you regret. So all the time, if you put your key performance indicators and character checks down, you must put temperament checks, all that, how you react to things, also in place when you want to successfully lead. And all those things are things that I try to practicalize, you know. So moving from all that I've said to our present circumstances as a country and as a people who want to grow, either in academia, either in business, and whatever. What I've realized about our generation is a situation where no one actually wants to speak, which means that we lack a lot of courageous people. Okay, we lack a lot of courageous people who would see something as wrong and just say they want to change it, regardless of who is there, regardless of who is watching, regardless of who is not watching, even if there's any reward for it. We have an educational system which is struggling. We have student support systems which are struggling. But who dares to speak about any of those things? There's nobody. So if we want to position ourselves as leaders, does it start from a certain idea that some people were born to lead us? No. It starts from a certain idea that given the circumstances that we are in, someone needs to talk about, situation A or situation B to make it better. And when it comes to talking about it, we may have people who go in excess, who act in excess. Some people who want to cause aluta to bring change, but they would go overboard. We need those people with the right temperaments to calm those people down, and know when it is time for dialogue and when it is not. So, in the recent circumstances that we faced, when it came to the evacuation of our friends from Ukraine, for example, I learned a great deal from the situations we faced. There was this instance where, we had one of our guys who just came from Ukraine, very emotionally attached to the situation and how his friends are suffering up there. And then we have me and my other colleagues who blew the alarm about the whole situation in Ukraine and why we have to evacuate. And then we held several meetings ahead of that. If you look at the individual I'm speaking about, he's very radical about his approach. He would go on radio or TV and you see him launch full-scale attack on Ministry of Foreign Affairs for not doing the best about the situation to rescue students and all. And that's exactly the kind of person I would be if I were in his shoes. But why was this situation different? This situation was different because I was informed about the situation. I was there in some of the meetings and realized how deficient our approaches were. We have situations where people are locked up in a certain city and then the city is blocked. There's no entry or exit. So even if you want the minister to do something, there's absolutely nothing he could do. So that comes with a situation of having to, first of all, appraise situations before you act. So if you're a young leader and then there are situations you have to deal with and you don't do the right appraisals to be sure of what the situations on the ground are, you make several mistakes. You would make utterances you are not supposed to make. You will fault people you are not supposed to fault and all that. And there's also this issue of, having others to check, which I've rightly mentioned earlier. If we were not there, to check on these other colleagues that I was talking about, we have continued to do this. So what happened was that we brought him to the other situation room meetings that we had, and we allowed him to deal with the problems himself. We made all the others who are abroad to speak out their problems and the challenges they are facing there, and then we all proffer solutions. We discovered rather surprisingly that he could not proffer any solution that could work instantly. He was given assurances of, funding which will get to the guys immediately. He was given assurances of provision of bags which will move the guys out of the place immediately and all. And they asked him, now that we have all this, how do we do it? It would shock you that we got out of that meeting, he couldn't provide any solution at all. So there's that issue of followers not appreciating what leaders are doing too, that as a young leader you will deal with. You'll be doing things and those on the periphery do not know what exactly you are doing and they do not appreciate it. Would you give up on what you are doing because people do not appreciate it, or you keep doing what you are doing in the circumstance of this guy? And if you are a smart leader, you would identify some of those your critics and bring them closer, like the way we did for this particular gentleman. So a smart leader must also be willing to bring other people together, especially those who are their critics. If people who criticize you and speak against you are the ones that you sort of act hostile towards and cut out of your circle, you make a very terrible mistake, because they may have a certain leverage somewhere. They may have audience who keep listening to them, and they would make people think that you are actually doing nothing. So sometimes, at best, you must be willing to create space for such people within your ranks. Then another important thing about leading, especially if you are youth, is to create structures. You must be very structural about how you do things. But first of all, the people you are involving must understand what they are doing within the structures. That's why servant leadership in these circumstances will be very important. Now, if you're a servant leader, you would be someone who is willing to go down and demonstrate what it is you want your people to do. And as you do it, you are indirectly training people that would take over from you or fill the structures that you want that leadership to create. So you first go demonstrate what they are supposed to do. Then secondly, you create the structures and make them fill in those structures. When I speak of, I forgot to mention this when I was speaking on the Ukraine issue, for example, about having people who bring very valuable inputs into your leadership. I forgot to mention Manuel. when the tension in Ukraine started, um, Manuel Cranton called me earlier, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, to ask me what we are doing about it. The understanding was that Russia would not truly invade, Ukraine. So there was no point for us to do anything. But Manuel is a media guy and he's always following activities. So even when very top government officials got it wrong, I think our Ministry of Foreign Affairs got it wrong. Even the US, though they were giving warnings that Russia was surrounding, they got it wrong about a particular day they would be going in and all. But some way, somehow, Manuel got it right. And I don't understand up till now. Honorable Ablakwa got it wrong when he was asked if it was early to evacuate. He said no. But NUGS got it right, not necessarily because we in NUGS administration are geniuses, but because of some of those people we have. Manuel insisted on the morning of the 21st, I think, that we should demand evacuation instantly. I still said no, it wouldn't be wise, my colleagues wouldn't sanction it. On the 22nd, he called again and insisted we should demand evacuation. And that was when you would see our statement go out asking for evacuation of the students. It was 18 hours after that the airstrikes began. So you see a lot of people giving us the credit, for doing something magical when government got it wrong, when the ranking member of Foreign Affairs got it wrong, we got it right. But truth is, was it us who got it right? No. It was Manuel Cranton who got it right, but no one gets to talk about him, you see. So you shouldn't be worried about having smart people when you are leading. There are some people that within their circles, they want to be the willing champions. They cut everybody else out. Everyone who is either smarter than them or equally as smart as them, they see them as a threat and then they just cut them out. If you keep doing that, one day you will isolate yourself. You will make mistakes because such people are not there to, advise you on what to do. Then I would also want to touch quickly on, willingness to sometimes lose. If you are a young person and then you are so fixated on the idea of always winning or being right, you would never be able to lead. There are situations where you must lose and just let things be. There are times that I wish certain things went my way, and I'll be happy if things went my way every day. But the more you do that, you may attract hate for yourself. If you are leading that way, you must learn to lose. And most people don't know when to, should I say, concede, and it costs their leadership so much. You become sort of an egomaniac. Things will be going wrong, but because you do not know when to let go, you keep fighting, and you may get to the point where you would want to stop fighting, but you just can't stop fighting. When we started our NUGS administration, there are people who would, it was publicly evident that there were times where myself and my boss, the president, were not always on the same page. And I realized that generally what that was doing to our administration was that it was painting a perception of division out there. And that was because no one wanted to lose on anything. Everyone wanted their perspective of what kind of brand of NUGS they want to create, should look like. And most people mistake the issues of myself and YB to be either personal or partisan or something of the sort. The issues are not largely about that. The issues are about what YB's conception of NUGS looks like and what my conception of NUGS looks like. I have a conception that NUGS is a mouthpiece, an activist group, and must always be on top of almost every matter and contributing the intellectual perspective of things to it almost always. And YB's conception of what he wants his NUGS to look like is more about tangibles. YB wants to build a secretariat, so everything we get, YB will spend all of it on secretariat, for example. I don't really, it's a good thing. I laud him for that every day, but I would always choose going to fight for example, uh, um, you know, um, what do you call it, student loans or something over that. YB would want to create a different approach to solving the student loan system issue. For example, by introducing what do you call it, SIC Campus Secure, where he believes that the people who need student loans the most are the people who have either lost their parents or don't have guardians to pay the school fees for them and all those things. And for future students not to even need the loans in the first place, then let's get them on SIC Campus Secure policy so that when the need arises, they get their school fees from the insurance company. I feel that no, that shouldn't be what we should be doing, that we should fight the status quo and make sure they pay student loans of a sort. That sort of thing results in fights. It will result in fights, which are philosophical, they are idea issues, not personal fights. It results in fights. So you see me, for example, saying I wouldn't participate in campus secure issues if it's about pursuing student loans. Let's do that instead. But all in all, what was that doing to us? It was making all of us look at like a bunch of unserious people who are always bickering and all that. So for the sake of the larger institutional growth, I would want to concede that, okay, I've lost it. I've lost this one. It's fine. Let YB win. You understand? So we would all project campus secure together and pursue campus secure together, knowing very well the fundamental issues that are wrong with student loans issues. But while pursuing it, we all promise each other that it doesn't mean that we will not speak on student loans or we will not try to get them to pay the loans and all. So that has to do with a young leader or a young person knowing that there are times that you just have to lose for the greater good, and that's how it should be. So basically, these are the key areas I would want to speak on largely. I don't know how long I spoke. I like talking, and there was no real check on that. It's exactly 7 o'clock. Yeah. So I would let Jones come in a bit and ask questions to see probably if his questions would bring different perspectives into this conversation. Yeah. So Jones, thank you.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much, our guest speaker, for your brief presentation. And I believe from the questions you'd have more opportunity to clarify more on the topic. Honorable members, I think in order for me to properly coordinate the questions and answers section, if you have a question, kindly indicate it in the in-call message section. Or if anything, if you are ready to speak now, you can equally unmute yourself and then I'll call you to speak. But I would prefer you just indicating it in the in-call message section. Then from there, I'll call you to ask your questions. So if you have a question, yeah, hello. If you have a question, you can either unmute yourself and I'll call you to speak, or you can indicate it in the in-call message box, then I'll call you to speak. If no one has a question, let me kindly go ahead and then ask some of the questions I have. Mr. Guest Speaker, with respect to this topic, you can see that it is talking about positioning the youth for greater future responsibilities through leadership training. And in your presentation, you were using some University of Ghana terminologies like aluta and then all those. I would like you to explain to the House what those terminologies are and how UG as an institution and all its aspects have even groomed you to where you are so far. Thank you.
Well, aluta simply means confusion, or or to bring a state of chaos of a sort. So it's more about demonstration, those sort of things. That's what aluta is largely about. So you realize that instead of dialogues and all, then students go haywire and don't want to listen to anyone. You probably see leaders, lead these demonstrations to try and force those who are supposed to take certain decisions to take decisions in a certain way. So that's aluta.
And in addition to that, if you could talk about how your stay in UG, your education in UG has even groomed you to be the person you are, because you already spoke about the classical version. Can you talk about the UG one?
All right. So when I came to UG, I think what happened was that some way, somehow, I liked the company of those who were ahead of me than the company of those who were my colleagues. It's something I say, it's something I always tell people, that if you want to go forward, then why not follow those who are ahead? So you see me being friends with people like Daniel Ano, Kwekwafu. You see me being friends with people like Maximiliano Seusu and all those. Those were the kind of people I was following, and those are people who are already JCR executive, prospects. I met them, most of them, before they got the positions, but you could just see that these are people who are heading in a certain direction, and that's what I was fond of doing, because of, I think, I know where I want to go, so probably that's why I was doing that. But I want to repeat, most importantly, that situations rather make you who you are. I think when I got to Elizabeth C, my flaw, I think I was told that the floor rep, he never shows up, unlike other floors. And by then I was self-motivated, actually, let me be honest. I'm told there used to be floor parties and stuff, and my floor wasn't getting some. So I wanted to get some for us. And then my roommates too were like, if you are the floor rep, then yes, you get to make those things happen. So I said I wanted to be, but they didn't give it to me. They rather made me the clerk of Senate instead of that. And that has already also trained my mind a lot. Because if you are a clerk, you must literally know the standing orders and all those things. So I was forced to be reading more of our constitution, the Constitution of Ghana, what it says and all, just so that I could also come and make arguments. Little did I know that by doing that, I was also shaping my communication skills and all, to be able to speak, to larger audience without any problem, be able to speak on any platform without any problem, and even to try and use my voice to change situations where I feel that things are not right. And I spoke about learning to accept defeat and knowing that you can't win all the time. I lost 2 elections in Legon, I lost as a JCR vice presidential aspirant in Elizabeth C, an election which I believe was fraudulent and all. I mean, after school, when we're done and there are no consequences, some of the people in the election confirmed that there were over 100 votes waiting for us before the election began. But knowing all those things, sometimes what fighting over JCR elections costs, and I've seen it twice, and I think those things are still in existence, is that it leaves the student institutions without leadership. So management has the advantage in all that. So at hall level, for example, there's tutorial board, which a student is supposed to represent. So if because of election students are fighting, they simply just disband the student aspect of everything and proceed without the student. So if you are someone who doesn't like to accept defeat, you plunge the institution into that situation. So I just accepted. And what other people do is probably take the school to court, and then they place an injunction on processes and nothing work. I just accepted. And the SRC election too happened. Everyone thought I was going to win until what happened at Sabah happened. There were other circumstances that contributed to our defeat, which are not necessarily about the rigging, but yes, I accepted it because prior to the election, I told myself there were possibilities of losing. So I had already applied for a scholarship to do my year abroad in China alongside contesting the election. So when the election didn't work out, I just went for my visa and left. If I hadn't gone through that stage of accepting defeat, then the kind of mindset that a lot of people even think I should run NUGS with would have, kept prevailing, where you always have the general secretary and the president bickering and fighting over something because no one wants to lose. So University of Ghana taught me really how to accept defeat in good faith. And then University of Ghana made me realize the essence of networks and building very strong networks and all that. Back in level 100, I met a friend, Prince Akantokdam, who has been very helpful to me in all these leadership journeys. I also made friends with Daniel. Daniel is like my manager. And when I made mention of people who would do key performance indicator checks for you and do character checks for you, I was referring to someone like Daniel, who could be observing and come and say, hey, Julius, I saw you doing this at this place. It was so bad. Those are the kind of things University of Ghana gave me. I wouldn't have gotten them anywhere. And then University of Ghana made me realize that life and growth was not simply about academics. It's about academics, though. You must graduate with a good class. But it's also about those who you meet and what they contribute to your life and all those things. Those are what is the power in unity, working together, doing things together. When it was I think Iwa or 10 Daniel's time, I think at SRC, even though there was a lot of back and forth on things and all this, there was some level of unity and a sense of a common purpose that it's an SRC we're running. We had an SRC president who respected the institutions regardless of how he disagreed with them. Even if there were things he does which were, disregard for the institutions, he does them in ways that do not publicly, derail the functions that those institutions were supposed to serve. And I also saw SRC presidents who consciously acted to undermine other institutions of SRCs and all those things, and what it cost our SRC at management level and all. No one respects it. So I learned the essence of unity of organization from here, realizing that yes, individually by crippling the organization, you may have a certain power, but overall, if you look at it overall, you may destroy the organization. I mean, there were people who would always encourage me, Julius, do this, do that. You have this potency at your disposal. You could use it and all. But I asked myself, if I did that, yes, as an individual, I may consolidate power and influence in a certain way as a NUGS general. What happens to the organization and how seriously people take it? I learned that from the University of Ghana here, and things that I've experienced happen to our institutions here. So University of Ghana teaches to be power conscious in my leadership approach. It should be more about people. And then I've also developed a lot of compassion. If you are not very compassionate, you can't lead. If you don't feel pain for people, you can't lead. In level 100, I had to apply for a scholarship, and I really thought my situation was bad, as an individual, until I got to SFAO, and some way, somehow, I was listening to the stories of other people. It was then that I realized no, there were people with worse situations than mine, that I don't even have a lot of problems. And it is those people's concerns that should be paramount if we are to lead. And if compassion doesn't drive your leadership, you will not achieve anything. If you pursue leadership because of the pomp and pageantry that comes with it, I think you should also consider how about using that, leadership capacity you have to do good. So that's something University of Ghana taught me. More profoundly, it was something I developed from my initial change of mind from what being senior in SHS was about having power to do whatever you liked. And I thought it wise, how about I use that power to rather change situations of juniors who were probably suffering. So I learned a lot of things from the University of Ghana.
Thank you very much for answering my question. I will move to Matthias. Yes, Mr. Matthias, kindly ask your question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening to you all. I've realized the very importance of this particular seminar and telling us how leadership is about and how you can manage situations when it comes to leadership. I have this issue, or I have these questions. You talk about passion. The leader must have passion to lead. A leader must have passion, and the passion is what will drive you to achieve. And I am looking at you as a leader. You are moving with a group of people, a team. You are a team leading. And when you realize some part of your team, they are not working well, they don't have that kind of passion that you, the leader, have. They don't see the things that you see. You have activities to put on. You are looking at, you carry the activities on your head. You realize that at the end of the day, if you are not able to, your activity plan, if you are not able to achieve A, B, C, D, it is not going to be something that will be good. But the other people don't bother. Remember, I said a leader is always in a team of other members who you have to move together. You are trying to encourage them to pick up the mantle and have that same passion that you have, but the people don't really consider. What do you do then?
I would take you through a concept I've developed known as the hedge concept. I think we all know what a hedge is. Hedges are. I think we should all know what a hedge is. They cut them out to be leveled to the plants that
hedge. How do you spell it? Let me.
Hedge.
Oh, okay. Hedge. Okay. Yes.
Oh no, I wish I could put a picture of a hedge over there.
Okay.
Plants that they grow them together to look in a certain way, and then they cut them.
All right. Cut them, right? Dress them together. Okay.
You get the picture, right?
Yes.
So the hedge concept here is when you are leading as a group. What happens is that if you outgrow the group and the group doesn't grow with you, you'll be cut out. You see hedges, when one grows too far from the others, they cut it out to be leveled with the others. That's what happens if you are too ahead of your colleagues. And then you will try to bring them, to that level. You either make them grow to reach your level so that you are all moving together, or the what is more difficult to do, to sacrifice your speed so that you are all at the same level. But unlike a hedge, human beings can actually go forward and still draw back. That's the advantage of the human being over the hedge growing in group. So I'll give an example of going forward and still drawing back to deal with your people. When the law school incident happened, Mr. Jima is here. He would give testament to the circumstances that happened. I didn't have the support of my president. In fact, he issued disclaimers to the approaches I wanted to use, press conferences, petitioning parliament, and all those things. But I proceeded without him. What I tried to do so that we will be leveled, so that I will not be cut out and be seen as being alone, was convince my other colleagues such as David Hughes, Devereaux, Pius Theophilus Beidu, Ohima Bediako, all the others to support me. And when we were done, we didn't parade ourselves as saviors of the students or anything, because we even had the support of NUGS, that's the National Association of Law Students. We had the support of the Ghana School of Law, SRC. We had the support of numerous people. I think the minority in parliament, led by Francis Osujevi and Honorable Roxanne Dapameko and all those people. So what we did was that when everything was successful, we made sure that it was more about NUGS than about us. And by doing that, we made the entire, in this case, the hedge, that is all of us as group leaders, came together as one people so that we will not be ostracized. If we had created a situation where it was about those of us who were openly in the fight too much, they would have seen us, the others may see us as threats and be blocking other pursuits that we wanted to follow. So that's one way of bringing the others to the same level with you. You understand? Or withdrawing to come and join them. So you should consider at one point having to go ahead of them. You damn the consequences and make sure it was the right thing you are doing. And if it's the right thing you are doing, when the success comes, bring them to be part of that success. Going forward, they'll be a part of you. But if you act cowardly because they do not support you in the first instance and you shied away from taking any steps or anything, you've lost them. They will never even support you for any other thing again. Imagine the law school circumstance. Okay, YB said he didn't support the approach we were using. And YB was, skeptical because of circumstances I cannot mention on this platform. He didn't approach, and we all said, okay, we've called back into our shells, and he doesn't believe in our vision or our approach, so we can't do anything. He would never have supported us on any other thing, like Ukraine. You never have supported us on it, like the Achimota School incident. You never had supported us on it. You understand? So to bring people to the same level with you, sometimes you must step out and withdraw in success. If you step out and you fail, you understand? So you make sure that whatever it is that is pushing you to want to work without them and prove a point, is not something that will end up being unsuccessful. Because if you're unsuccessful once, you don't inspire them to agree with you the next time. So the success of our fight for law students, for example, would inspire our colleagues to support us on other projects we wanted to do. And I saw that very evident in everything we were doing. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think you've answered it in a way, because bringing all of them at a level, some people in nature are just adamant to other things. For example, a team of 20, and let's say 2 people in a particular leadership role are not just performing. They are not, no matter what you do, they don't just respond. And as a leader, there are a lot in the head. Even as others are sleeping, you are thinking about how to make headways. As others are sleeping, you are thinking of how to communicate to each one of them to be in the same level with you. So I was thinking that sometimes if you are facing those situations, it is good for you to ignore and go ahead. When you, just as you said, when the achievement comes, they would all fall back, or you would include them. You step ahead and put the achievement on them, on all of them. So at that point, they will realize that if they don't even support, you can still make it without them. So
and a lot of
the
people don't
other
like situations where people succeed without them. It's a natural human instinct that if you are in a group, the group members don't like your success to be about only you. So yes, you must succeed to bring them along. If you step outside and you don't succeed, forget about bringing them along. Then I was done with the hedge concept. I was hoping that it answered all your questions, but since it didn't, let me proceed with a concept I want to call in quote the bribery concept.
please,
The
please,
bribery concept.
before you continue that, I want to put a point before you continue that.
Sure.
I want to also add that if there is a way, I would organize my people and online like this, and you would take us through or take them to let them also have the benefits of something like this. If there is a way that you have chance, so you can proceed with your point. After that, you come back to it.
Definitely. So the other concept is what I call the bribery concept. If people can bribe people to do bad things, then why don't we bribe people to do right things? You understand? Because the concept of bribery is usually about influencing people to do things they would otherwise not have done. Is that not it? So if people do that by, actually giving people gifts, doing all those things, I think we can also do it if we want them to do positive things. So if I'm in a group with other people, or we are supposed to take decisions together, and I have very positive intentions, and then they are not working on it, I feed on their selfishness. And for purposes of this particular one, I will not give specific examples. So if we are in a group and I feel that you, Matthias, it's money you like, anything that brings money or the money avenues, I make sure I have them to always offer you, so that I can influence you to do some of the things I want to achieve or do as a group. So you identify those people. Then there are some people, it's glory they like to bask in, they want people to see them that that sort of thing. You have to identify those people too, and know how to share glory with them to make them come on board. There are some people who are okay with just mere accolades. You hyping them and praising them and singing their the good songs about them, that and it will influence them to act. So I call that the bribe concept. It ranges from financially influencing people to character wise. You identify their character, the sort of things they like, and then you just play along, and you see them doing exactly what you want. And as a leader, if you don't master some of these things, you might fail. I want to say this, okay? People have a certain conception of NUGS being partisanly infiltrated, and I always said that you can't make the same accusation of my administration, the administration I'm a part of. Yes, the individuals may have partisan leanings, but when it comes to the business of NUGS, we tried as much as possible not to work on those lines, and we limited it to the barest minimum. Why I said this is because I am the only one perceived to be on one side of the divide. I don't want to mention the divide. I'm the only one perceived to be on one side of the divide, and all the others are perceived to be on the other side of the divide. But there were several instances where majority of them sided with me against colleagues from the same divide that they come from. I don't know if anyone is getting the picture. All this means is that perhaps, one, the bribe concept is working. I don't mean bribe as in going to give people money to do bad things. I call it bribe concept because, as I explained earlier, if bribing people can influence people to do bad things, then we should be able to find a way to use it to make them do the right things. So I do that. I play on people's characters. I know the ones who like to be praised and hailed and given all accolades. I like the ones, I know people who want where there's benefit, direct benefit. You identify those people as well and how you work with them. And one way or the other, you see them falling in line. So Matthias, if the hedge concept doesn't work, the bribe in quote concept could work. So you should try and put the two concepts in perspective and see.
Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Matthias, if in case after the program you are unable to contact our guest speaker, you can still contact Youth Impact Parliament on any of our social media handles, and we will accordingly lead you to him.
Okay.
Mr.
Thank you.
Cletus. Yes, thank you. Mr.
Right.
Cletus, you have a question. Kindly proceed to ask.
Thank you very much. Mr. Guest Speaker, good evening. Yeah. My question is, when you were in your presentation, you made mention of evaluation index.
Yeah.
I want to understand who should be in that position to evaluate you. Should they always be your peers or your superiors? What do you have to say about that? Thank you.
Yes, that's good. I'm glad someone is interested in the evaluation. On the evaluation issue, if you pick people who are too friendly, for example, you can't ask your girlfriend to evaluate you. She may get it wrong. You may have girlfriends who would get it right, but she may get it wrong. You can't pick a girl who probably likes you and you know to evaluate you. She'll tell you all the nice things. You may use your friend who you would have made it clear to that, yes, I want you to be able to be honest with me. Tell me, Julius, you are fooling when you are fooling. Tell me I'm doing good when I'm doing good. Tell me I'm failing if I'm failing. It should be someone who is on the same level with you and not too high from you. If the person is too high from you, what happens is that the person may have too big expectations that the rating would demoralize you, you know. And if the person is too familiar, like girlfriend and all those things that I've told you, the person may give you wrong ratings, which would make you swollen-headed and make you redundant. That's why it must be someone who, you know, you trust to be neutral. And it could be a friend, but the person should not be too much of a friendly person like a girlfriend or that.
Well, thank you very much for that submission.
Cletus, I'm sure you would know some people like within your own ranks that you know that no matter what, these people will tell you, like, okay, you are not doing good. You are doing good. You should be able to identify those people.
Very.
And make it clear to them. The person must know what they are doing. The person must know that they are evaluating your leadership. Okay. If they don't know that that is what they are doing, they may not tell you the truth. So if you just randomly ask them, oh, am I doing well, or that kind of thing, as a normal survey, they may give you a wrong impression. But if they know very well that what they are doing is business, is serious, they are telling you this to evaluate yourself, they will tell you the truth. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My second question.
Yeah.
Okay. So is about the networking you spoke about. I don't know, the networking, how many folds is in it? Be in 2 folds or 1 fold? Why do I ask this?
I didn't hear the last part.
I'm saying the networking that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many folds is it in? As in how many? Is it like networking with your peers and then also networking with your superiors?
Okay. Yeah.
And then why that? Hello.
Okay. One particular thing, as I said, is that you have to have very good friends who are your peers. But it is most important to learn from those ahead of you, who are more experienced than you. And you should always consult them and ask them questions. I mean, Leo will tell you that I'll call him randomly and ask him things about progress, next year's plan, what I want to do, and all those things to hear his input because he's far ahead of me. Daniel would tell you the same thing as well. There are some of your colleagues that you must maintain friendship with for purposes of tomorrow. We just don't leave. If someone becomes a medical doctor before you try to be his friend, he knows that probably it's because of the value he has to offer. Probably you want, off the consulting room consultations. That's why you want to befriend him. If someone becomes a lawyer before you are getting close to him, the person may have the impression that you want pro bono services at that point, which he would not give you. You understand? If someone is an engineer before, an architect before, you are now befriending the person feels that that's what you want, probably free site plans or building designs or something. How about you befriend the engineering students? How about you befriend the law students or the medical students? That's where your own colleagues matter. You strategically choose those people that you be friends with. Trust me, having friends is truly just like social media. You choose who is in the circle and who is not. And there are some friendships that are just circumstantially forced on you. Like you happen to be roommates with a person, and or those ones are different. But those, for purposes of network, you must be strategic. If by the time you are through a university, you don't have a law student friend, which when you are done with school will be proceeding to do their what do you call it, their professional law course or something, or you don't have a medical school friend who you would have left in school, they would have still been in school while you are done. So you don't have that one engineering. You have not done yourself good. Then also the reason why you need superiors is that there are just times that someone just needs to come through for you, to help you, to take you to the next level, to open doors for you. That's why you need friends who are just ahead of you. It doesn't matter their status, even if they are the president of Ghana. You just need people like that. And you must be deliberate about it, because they will give you guidance, And trust me, some of our politicians, you may know them publicly, you may have very bad public perceptions about them. But if you speak to them privately, you realize that there's no leader whose intentions are bad. So if it is good advice and all those things you need, you will definitely get it from those people in high profile. So you need some of them as well to help you. And sometimes you may just have financial needs. You can't just ask everybody, that you want to get to this other stage of your leadership, so you need help and all that. When I was running for NUGS General Secretary, those valuable friendships came in for me. I don't like the fact that Leo is on the call, though, because I've been mentioning him so much. He had to literally send me money. Leo, please don't leave. Oh, he has to literally send me money when I was running for NUGS office. There was a time I had to write letters and send it to those friends that I believe are very valuable friends that I've made over the years. I wrote the letter and I'll address it. So if it's Leo, I'll address it, dear Leo, and write that I needed money. And I sent it to all of them. And surprisingly, the ones that I myself identified as top priority friends, they responded. They responded, and it helped me a lot. And it gave me a lot of independence as an individual when I got into office. What ties down most of the leaders is the fact that politicians fund them and all those things. But I was funded by my friends into leadership. So I had a lot of independence in thinking and all. And that has also been some of the challenges that young leaders face. No independence in thinking. Those who are up there tell them strictly what to do, and then they just follow and all. So yes, that's the essence of network. It comes in handy even when you need finances to, further your leadership ambitions.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Grateful. I'm grateful, Father Dixon. I'm grateful.
Did he say Father Dixon or Anthony?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. I think the tag is actually Father Anthony. I heard Dixon, so I didn't need to clarify how to say. Okay. If there are any contributions or questions, you can kindly unmute yourself and speak. I think our guest speaker wants his good friend Leo to also have a token of the presentation. So if Leo is still online, I'm very sure if I could seek the leave of the guest speaker to invite him on floor to make his contributions as well.
Oh, interesting. Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Okay, first and foremost, I think I would commend Julius Anthony for this wonderful presentation. As I mostly say, it's always refreshing to listen to Julius submit on some of these interesting and very important topics. And also to the organizers of this program, we're also grateful for such an opportunity. Julius has said it all. Julius is a practical testament to most of the things he said here. And one enviable feat about Julius's presentation is the ability to make whatever he says practical. Leadership remains in theory until someone presents to you the practical facets of whatever he or she is saying. I will just touch briefly on one important thing Julius said. There's a school of thought that says that leaders are born. There's also another school of view strongly that leaders, and I am inclined more to the side that Julius presented about how leadership is made. At times, we have to be very deliberate and intentional about certain things when it comes to leadership. So, for instance, you'd want to get here within 3 years' time. You don't sit there and wait for the 3rd year you have to undertake. If there are courses, if there are friendships that you have, those things, preparing yourself for the final task ahead. One quick example I would add to it is my time on University of Ghana campus when I was Chief Justice in level 300 and 400. Most people only pay attention to these 2 years because that is when they actually saw who Leo was through my judgments, the rulings of the court, how some of them even, went contrary to certain decisions of important personalities like the Dean of Students and all that. In level 100, I was the SRC clerk, the court clerk for the SRC. This many people do not know about. In the same level 100, I was also a member of the judicial board of my hall and actually delivered the majority opinion in an election petition case in level 100. All these were years that I understudied under seniors. I read certain books. I knew where I wanted to get to. So I made deliberate attempt to prepare myself for the task ahead. So though there are certain skills or qualities that are innate in humans, I submit that certain things also have to be deliberate, because irrespective of the innate qualities of any individual, these innate qualities have to complement other skills, set skills that you have to deliberately acquire or develop through life span and through experiences. And so once we become very deliberate and very conscious about developing these set skills, when the time comes for us to deliver, it becomes easy that people would now tend to believe that such a leader was born, not knowing the various preparations that you had undergone to reach the heights that they might have just seen publicly. So that is a little that I would want to add to a very insightful and wonderful presentation by my brother Julius Anthony. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very sure Julius will also want to add a little to your contribution. Mr. Julius, you can.
Yeah, I think he summarized it for me, and then he laid touches to areas that I might have left blunt, and I'm very grateful. So guys, there's nothing that you cannot become or you cannot do, and for me, my personal story makes me realize that once you are prepared and you know what you're about, you can become anything. When I lost the University of Ghana SLC presidential election, I told myself I was done with anything trying to lead at the student front, and I was leaving to China. And once I returned and finished, I was going to focus on academia. I still intend to do that, though. I like to live my life on a binary. So when it comes to academia, I'm still going to pursue it fully. But one thing that is important, one thing that is very revealing, is the fact that when I got NUGS office, not to brag, but I have contributed to making NUGS something it has never been in a long time. I have contributed to making NUGS a different new brand, and I think it's all due to the preparations over the years. I've always wanted an executive position to lead. I've been speaker, I've been clerk, I've been GA member, well, name it. I've been deputy PR, but I've never had an executive position properly so called. Anytime I ran for it, I lose. I mean, I ran just twice though. I lost all of them. But when I finally got the chance, I think I rose above even my deficiencies. And I just want to assure anyone who is listening to me that there's nothing they cannot do. We've not gotten anywhere yet. The journey is still very far. But make your life practical, put it on a binary, always have second options when one side goes bad and all. There are some people who want to go into leadership who have made politics the only avenue of, getting them there. It doesn't help that way. I am still young, but the experience of those who have gotten ahead have taught me so well that it doesn't work just that way. And my small experience of having to have an alternative of leaving the country when I lost my own election makes me understand that it doesn't work that way, because I don't think I could have really just stayed that one whole year, seeing a lot of things. I don't think that I didn't really appreciate. I appreciated the opportunity to go and learn an entirely different environment. And that's because I made binary plans. What if this doesn't work? You should also do that. Don't make politics the focus when you want to be a leader. Don't. You should have those different options. Your academic options should also be there. And also, I'm very grateful, Jones, for the platform you've given me to speak. And I wish everyone who had listened and everyone who is still here the very best in their endeavors. The 1.5 months that we have left as NUGS executives will continue doing our very best for Ghanaian students, both home and abroad. And God be with us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guest Speaker. We are not letting you go yet. I still have some few questions. However, my second deputy speaker is online, and then I don't know whether he has any question to ask or contribution. Honorable Ahiadeke Emmanuel, Manuel the Optimist, do you have anything to say? Or he is not active?
Honorable Speaker, please have a...
You have a question, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Kindly proceed. Is that
Okay.
Cletus or Emmanuel?
Exactly.
Who is actually... Okay, Emmanuel, kindly proceed with your question.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable. Any question? Again, thank you.
I can't hear you.
Taking time. All right. So, as you said.
Okay, we can now hear you. So,
but I don't really have any question to ask. But can you please hear me now?
yes, it's a little bit better.
Hear me now.
But proceed. Yes,
Hello. I'm
proceed.
equally having a little challenge with my network.
Hello.
You are better now.
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. So please proceed to.
Right, Honorable Speaker, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now loud
Yes,
and
we can
clear.
hear you. Yes, we can hear you. So
Okay.
please proceed
So,
to ask your question.
all right, thank you very much. I really don't have any question to ask, but then I want to
Yes, we
just
can hear
use
you.
this opportunity to thank our guest speaker for making time with us. At least from his busy schedules, he has been able to get time and share what he's having with us. In fact, this seminar has been a wonderful one, and I've also learned a lot, which I'll add to my leadership skills. And I believe all participants here equally have taken something from today's presentation. Once again, God richly bless you, Mr. Julius, for making time with us out of your busy schedules. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too for making time out of your busy schedules to listen to me, and I'm glad that you guys are doing a very good job at the youth parliament. It's a good initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Matthew has a short contribution. Is it Cletus? Yes.
Yes,
I saw a message from Matthias. Cletus, you also have a contribution?
No, a question, please.
Okay. Please proceed with yours before we hear Matthew. But
Okay.
this is the last opportunity I have for you.
My final question to the guest speaker.
Yes.
Okay, to know him.
Well, I think mentorship is a big deal. It's something that should be taken seriously, and that has been one of the greatest challenges of very good leaders, the people they've mentored to take over from them and all. And I've been wondering, in our history, no one makes mention of even a vice president to Nkrumah. So I was wondering which people he was mentoring and how his CPP just collapsed if he was someone who had very great ideologies and all. So mentorship is a great deal. If no matter how good a leader you are, if you don't mentor people, you are not leading properly, because there's an issue of even death. You can die just tomorrow. What happens to your ideas? No one knows them. I mean, probably if you write books, fine. But even if you wrote book, if there are not people you've trained actively to see those ideas through, what happened to them? Because Nkrumah wrote books, but nothing. I can't say for sure if Nkrumah didn't have mentors, but for someone who didn't even have a vice president and any of that, and all that happened after he was gone, I feel there's some deficiency in there. So yes, mentorship is very, very important for every good leader to do. You must mentor people.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Matthias, let's have you ask your question or contribution.
Okay. Right, Honorable, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mr. Julius, our guest speaker. Honorable Julius, our guest speaker, made mention of a leadership you would always have deficiency, and the deficiency part is what I'm going to contribute. And as if your head is aching, if your system is wrong, you go to the hospital. Maybe you have problems, your head is aching, you go to the hospital or you go to the doctor. If you want to buy tomatoes, you go to the market. So I would say that as a leader, you don't know anything. Even though you must have your clear path, you must have your activities, that you must have your vision, that you have to plan towards it. But sometimes you have to consider in terms of decision making. As a leader, decision making is an integral part of you. And in order to make proper and accurate decisions, you need to sometimes consult. Yes, sometimes you know that this is how I should go about this particular issue. this is the decision I should make. But at least just give it the benefit of the doubt in order to consult people who have bypassed that particular lesson. People have lived before, people have been in your shoe before, and you reaching out to them, you may be able to get brilliant ideas in order to consider and make your decision properly. And even your members, those you are leading, some of them are probably have a smart ideas that you don't know. So you must to consult, you must to be consultative in nature. If there is a leadership style called consultative, you must to be consultative in nature so that you can make decisions. Because looking at, for example, let's say an expert in IT, you don't have IT knowledge. There are people who can work in that particular listen very well. So how do? You need to reach out to those people, consult them, let them make brilliant ideas, and at the end of the day, it comes back to you as the leader who is making those things. So I remember he was making mention of making friends who are lawyers, because he's not an expert in law, making friends who are probably medical students, because you may not be an expert in medicine, but when it comes to decision making, you must make a proper decision that you would leave not to regret them. So what do? You consult them, you put the problem before them and seek for their candid opinions, and you would realize how the different approaches they will bring. At the end of the day, you'll be able to pick out the best, and it will help you. I think this is what I wanted to add up to this, the aspect of the deficiency. Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Matthias Awibe. Before I go to my question, I can see my minority chief whip in the House, minority chief whip of Youth Impact Parliament. I don't know if he has anything to say or contribution. If he has, he can unmute. If he does not have, I'll proceed to my final questions so that we can proceed to relieve our guest speaker and close the program. Honorable Godwin Kwashi, do you have anything to say?
Mr. Speaker, actually, okay, good evening to my fellow audience on the platform. Actually, I don't have enough to say. I just want to thank our guest speaker for honoring upon the House to educate us on the topic. We really appreciate this time, and we wish that from time to time he will make himself available and educate us more on leadership. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Majority Chief Whip. I don't know whether the guest speaker has a response to that. If he does not, I'll proceed to ask my last two questions.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity and welcome. Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So my last two questions are, I'd like to know some of the leadership trainings you have attended so far. And my second question is the TV shows, radio programs, and leadership trainings you also facilitated. Thank you very much. These are my two last questions.
Well, when I came back to Ghana from China freshly, I was a regular participant in a program called Politics Over Pizza at MX24 TV. I must say sincerely that program has really helped me and shaped a lot of things for me after I became NUGS General Secretary. It gave me access to a lot of people who really appreciated the kind of inputs I made on that program. I think I was a regular member for so many of them. I've lost count of it. Then eventually the rest were not so regularized like Politics Over Pizza, where I knew that, I was the main participant of it. So the rest are usually issue based. When an issue comes, I'm called. Apart from that, is Class FM's program with Iradams, Karim. That is what do you call it? Talk of the Nation. I'm also very regular over there. Recently, because of NUGS stuff, I've not been going a lot. And then Joy News invites me intermittently for their 6 o'clock program. That's the what's the name? Ghana Connect. They invite me for it very often. But I've been on almost all platforms. Joy News, Joy FM, TV3, Metro, on very different issues. So depending on the kind of issue and how it concerns student staff or that they will call, or maybe some issues they just want student perspective and they feel that I have some insight to offer, they will call me. But the most regular ones that are sort of formalized and arranged are the Politics Over Pizza on MX24, and then the one with Iradam, and that's on Class FM. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Before our guest speaker will give his closing remarks, I would like to also add my little contribution to today's topic. I believe in positioning the youth for greater I believe in positioning the youth for greater future responsibilities. It is very important that the youth create value for themselves. I do not believe if Mr. Julius Anthony had not created value for himself, we wouldn't even have a reason to call him to come. But it was because of the trainings that he has gone through and all the challenges that he learns from, and he has created value for himself. And I believe if we create value for ourselves, we stand out of the others. There will be a reason for us to be appointed or be elected to hold positions of bigger responsibility. Because I believe no one will give you the opportunity to build a house if you cannot build a hut, a very small living room, steam bar and hall. No one will give you a mansion to build if you cannot build a single room. Yes. So that is just my very short contribution. And I believe if we ensure that we humble ourselves for training programs, for nurturing mentorship, and then train ourselves for the future, I believe when it is time for us to handle bigger positions, we'll stand out and then we'll be an obvious choice for the people. So I want to now call on our guest speaker to give his closing remarks for today's session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I must say that the Youth Impact Parliament has been doing a very tremendous job under your able leadership. And I'm very grateful that people like yourself have taken it upon yourself to train other people and lead them to achieve greater prospects, position themselves very well for the leadership vacancies that may be available in our future. The Speaker, our generation lacks courage, courage to speak truth to power, courage to take initiatives, and courage to sometimes damn consequences and just act. And if there is anything more paramount that we must do, those of us who want to train fellows into leadership, is to ensure that we start working on that. It was courage of the leaders of the past that has led to certain things that we enjoy today. Sometimes when I look at student leaders say that they do not want to speak on issue A or B because politician C or D is watching and all that, I laugh and I cringe. The reason why I do that is because most of those things that are alien or are in bad conditions that they fail to speak about are the creation of these same people when they were in those capacities. I always make specific examples or references to the scholarship secretariat we have today that gives scholarships to Ghanaian students, the Student Loans Trust Fund we enjoy today, the existence of a GETS fund that has sponsored tremendous academic infrastructure and all those things. But the creation of Haruna Idrisu and his colleagues, when they were NUGS executives and they were fighting the government, and the government had to reach certain consensus with them that if they are going to introduce, part payments of school fees, all those things, then they will for this and that to support students who may be in need. So if today those things are not working out, and we have these same people now in government, and we are afraid of them to say that their own creation is failing us, and they need to make them better. We can speak of another umbrella who is majority chief whip and all. They are the people who contributed to the creation of these things that are largely not functional today. So if we say we are afraid of them to speak truth to power, then we are failing ourselves, because they did their part when it was their generation. And if there is any better time to leave, it is now. Because if they brought these things which have contributed to tremendous change in Ghana's education sector, specifically, and it is their time now at the higher roles, and much has not changed about our education system, that should tell you that they were in their best elements when they were us, when they were our age, when they were in the positions we have, and they are not in there are very better elements now. No criticism, but it's a reality. So if we transition from this stage without making these kind of contributions they made, and we get into the stage that they are now, that is telling that they would be worse off than they are, if history is anything to go by. So ladies and gentlemen, I encourage everyone who is listening to me to be courageous in whatever they do. Look at yourself as someone who is solving immediate problems. That's what defines a leader. That's why no one is born to lead. You develop out of the kind of problems you are solving. If you don't believe that, if you have any element of doubt in that, just look at Ukraine and what is happening. Volodymyr Zelensky was an entertainer. The last time I checked, the guy was using his penis to play piano. Today he is a president of Ukraine, a very strategic, country for the two poles, so long as this world is concerned, that's the Eastern Bloc and the Western Bloc. Very strategic nation, and he's leading very well, to the surprise of everybody. If someone had showed me that comedian who was, playing piano with his penis, and told me that he would be president sometime in the past, I would have said no. Oh, come on, how would this guy be president? But the fact that he's president today already, before those videos are popping up, well, you've got to believe it. So we can be anything we want to be, so long as we put our minds to it, and we can be great leaders so long as we know that leadership is about solving problems and not being born leaders. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I wish everyone a very good evening.
Thank you very much, our guest speaker, for availing yourself. I would now like to proceed to my closing remarks, and then from there I'll deliver the vote of thanks and closing prayer. Honorable members, on behalf of leadership and myself, I wish to convey the sincerest gratitude of this House to our guest speaker, Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony, the 54th NUGS General Secretary, for coming to impact us with his mass experience and lecture us on today's topic. As a matter of fact, our program crashed with Mr. Julius Anthony's engagement with governments of Ghana in the safeguarding of Ghanaian students from Ukraine against the Russia-Ukraine war. He was actually preparing for our program yesterday in a consultative meeting with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. But unfortunately, our program could not hold yesterday because he was dealing with a matter of great public importance and also an importance to the student fraternity that I think is even a greater whole than this program. Personally, to me, it is better for him to go to that situation room and ensure that a life is safe than for him to come and be speaking to us yesterday. So I want to assure him that I don't feel disappointed, neither does my house today. But we are happy that you undertook a matter of great public importance, and students out there are safe because of efforts of you and the entire NUGS executives working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. God bless you for that. And as we communicated to you, he was able to come and grace our program today and delivered accordingly. God bless him greatly for availing himself to impact us. I would also wish to appreciate the efforts of members who publicized this seminar and equally participated in it, most especially to our graphic designer, Mr. Dollar Gladstone. He is a youth MP and 8th USRC Public Relations Officer. He wholeheartedly designed our beautiful poster you are seeing being presented on the screen. God bless you all. For the attention of the House and our participants, I hereby indulge you all to follow Youth Impact Parliament on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, and YouTube. Youth Impact Parliament is a youth organization recently established that creates the opportunity for youth to be groomed in leadership roles, public speaking, parliamentary business, social norms, and values. We are currently in our first parliamentary year since establishment. We held 3 pilot sittings last year and 3 regular sittings last year. On the 20th of February, we held our 4th parliamentary sitting, and we'll be having subsequent sittings after this. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to inform the whole House that we have scheduled our 5th, it will be our 4th virtual leadership seminar, and we are hoping to have a member of the 8th Parliament of Ghana, in the person of the Honorable Peter Kwesi Nosukote, a member of Parliament for Akachin North constituency of the Republic of Ghana, to speak on the floor of this Parliament. He will be the first MP of Ghana's Parliament to speak to Youth Impact Parliament. And we are hoping to have him 9 days from now, which is Thursday, 10 March 2022, on this same Google Meet link or meeting room. Youth Impact Parliament is also open for support to the general public. All those who wish to support the vision can support us in kind or cash. You can contact me on 020-147-6896 to support us any way you wish. As of now, our membership is valid for participation in our programs and sittings. Hopefully at the right time, we'll introduce the other expected modalities as we see in other parliaments. Vote of thanks. Honorable members, at this juncture, I'd like to use the opportunity to thank the Almighty God for making this program a success. My second thanks goes to our guest speaker, Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony, for making time to facilitate our program for us and taking delight in it. Thank you, sir. I want to use this opportunity to also thank members who directly or indirectly contributed to the success of this program in terms of the organization and publicity. God bless you all. And my last thanks goes to all participants who have joined us this evening for this program. Congratulations to you all for availing yourself benefit directly, and also to our future viewers who would watch this video. We hope you will learn from it to improve yourselves, as that is what we seek to do. I'll now proceed to, it is time for us to close. Let's take the closing prayer. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this youth impact parliament. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give wisdom and understanding to all those who have participated in this seminar, that they may proceed to implement all they have heard and learned, which will result in their personal development and possibly for them to hold greater future responsibilities and do it as expected and overwhelmingly. We commit into the hands our third guest speaker in the name of Mr. Julius Kwame Anthony. Bless him that he may go far and possibly become one of our national icons. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Youth Impact Parliament, Volta region, Ghana. Amen. God bless you all, and have a good night. I'm Jones Amegashie-Viglo, your host, Speaker of Youth Impact Parliament. Thank you, and have a nice day.